Welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably, and the why behind their experiences navigating through our ever-changing environment. I am your host, Leslie Dowling. I'm a corporate speaker, sharing how one can jumpstart your path to increase revenue and productivity through restorative health techniques. And today it's my pleasure to welcome my guest, Leah Truax. Leah is owner of Fancy Fiddles, which is a handcrafted home fragrance company. It's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to be here.
Yeah.
So welcome. I gravitated to all of the natural soy-based, how do you say, I should know this, phthalate free? Phthalate free. Phthalate. And with the fragrance oils, because I'm so passionate about supporting small businesses and being really just, clean. So tell us more about what started you on this path.
Oh, well, thank you for having me first off. I'm very excited to be doing this with you. I would say that the thing that sort of started me in this was I was an avid candle and melt person, and I always had them going in my home. And then I started having children and expanding our family and started doing research into what I was putting into our environment, and like doing research on like, why aren't my candles lasting very long, which kind of snowballed into different sort of waxes, different sort of wicks and fragrance oils and all of these things that I had no idea could be a problem or was a problem. And so that's sort of what snowballed it. I had been doing research for about 4 or 5 years before I launched my company. I wanted to be sort of, broaden my understanding so then my customers could come up and ask me questions and be like, hey, like, why is this like this? Why are you doing it like this? Like, I have them from here and they seem fine. I wanted to be able to provide those answers and to know that the ingredients that I was putting into my products were safe for my family, safe for your family. And so something that just kind of like the passion grew. I approached my boyfriend and I was like, hey, I have this idea. I think I could do this. I think I could do this better than how it's being done, safer than how it's being done. And then it just kind of turned into a passion from there. And he was like, yes, yeah, let's try this. Let's do this. And that was almost 3 years ago that we've been in business. And so, so it's very exciting. And over the hump of like the first couple of years is, like, oh, is this for realsies? And now it just feels, we're more established and getting out there. So very cool.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it's wonderful when you have support from the family that are your cheerleaders.
Yes.
So how did you, for somebody say that wants to start something like this, because I see more and more natural fragrances and natural products that we're ingesting into our skin, which is our largest organ. People are so much more aware of this. And I was just curious. So when you first started, what was your vision? Like, did you start small and then maybe go locally to different events, or how did you start?
That's exactly how we started. We started very small. We had candles and we had melts. We had some body care products that were all natural and organic, and started doing pop-up shows in my community. And it was very like face-to-face, person-to-person, trying to build up a reputation that would be able to project us into getting into wholesale and having those repeat customers and getting our name out there in a bigger way. I knew that I needed the foundation of having a good product that people had the information about, liked first off, which is very important. And then just build up that reputation. And it took a while just because I'm in a small community and we're very saturated here. And so to be able to get like, why pick me instead of them, I feel like was like the biggest hurdle. But then when they were like, oh, you are very much like about the family and about what's safe for me, and trying to expand into what the customer was asking for, but in a safe way, I feel like really helped us. And so we've definitely like established sort of what I wanted out of my business.
Yeah. I love that the younger generations are so much more well versed on consumer products. They want to know. They want to be educated compared to my generation, which is like, okay, smells good. Let me put this on. In my 20s, it was all chemicals. No, there were subtleties, but living in New York for a while, it was just give me that great smelling fragrance, marketing,
Yes.
sense. And as I had my three boys, I started doing research because my one son used to get headaches. I would get headaches with the plug-in wonderful products that
Yes.
actually is very toxic.
Mhm.
So people like you are really becoming a force with trying to educate people, which I love. So please share with everybody some of the products. And what, for people that don't know, what are melts?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I don't know if it's a West Coast thing, but they're melts. I wish I had one with me, but they're essentially just soy wax. They're like little cubes. They're hand poured at the same time as the candles, and you just put them in like a little melter. You can put a tea light candle, and it's like a little ceramic thing, or they have electric ones. I thought that melts were like an everywhere thing until we went to New York, and people were like, "What are these that you have? What are you trying to sell us?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, okay." So yeah, so it's just a little soy wax cube that you can put into different things. People especially like them if they have like animals that are attracted to flame. We have a lot of like people that are like, "My cat, I cannot have candles." And we're like, "Hey, come on over. We got these." So
Wow. And so was this something that as you as a child, maybe using some products and things, and as you grew and evolved, like were there things that you had issues with lotions and were like, I'm going to make changes, with trying to put something out there that's more natural, or maybe your children with the lotions?
yes, I've always been very sensitive. My skin is just very sensitive.
Oh,
And so our first two children were actually like very sensitive to things, could be very like stringent on what sort of like body washes and different things that we were using. And so they never had like any sort of reactive to like the candles or anything like that. But once you start researching one thing, I feel like it just kind of can snowball into, like finding out all the things about other products within your home. And that's sort of what happened with me. And so, yeah, so I feel like having my four kids definitely like propelled me into making sure that I was making healthier choices of like the different sort of products that we are putting into our home, because we're putting it into our body. You don't think of that because
yeah.
you're like, oh, it's a candle and it smells good and it's aesthetic. You're inhaling that. It's being absorbed into your body, whether you want to think about it or not. And so, for me, it was a clear choice of just like, trying to make it healthy and trying to, still let you enjoy the ambiance and sort of like the nostalgic feeling of having those fragrances around without having to worry about like, is it safe for me? Is it safe for my children? Is it safe for my pets? And so, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. And yeah, I just noticed that over the years when I started weaning myself off of on the counter, like off of the shelves in the supermarkets, I would get like headaches. It was just so
Mm-hmm.
severe, like it hit you so strongly. And then as I slowly integrated doing more research and really just saying, well, I eat clean, I ingest clean products, and with the boys with baths and dyes and chemicals that
Mm-hmm.
now a lot of us are well aware of. I really wanted to do a little bit more about having what you do with the clean, the soy based. And I noticed once I got into that mode, when I went to my girlfriend's house and she had this like pumpkin spice. I walked in and I got an instant headache because
Yeah.
I wasn't used to smelling that anymore. So,
Yes.
I guess our body does acclimate to, cleaner things all
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, because you can be kind of, I've noticed with our customers, they can be kind of like blind to it almost
Mm,
and not notice. And we've had customers come up to me and they're like, I can't use anybody else's candles now because now it's like I get a headache. I walk into people's houses and I'm like, oh, like that's what that's what my family was experiencing with the headaches
yeah.
and everything. And one of our like business philosophies within our company is just like, I want you to be able to buy one of our products and I want you to be able to burn that candle for 4 hours straight and
Mm,
have the ambiance of it and not be like, why is my head hurting? Why do I feel like some sort of way? Like, I want
yeah.
you to be able to enjoy the product and not just have it sitting there because you burned it one time and, you got a headache, but it's still, it's just out for whatever. And so I think that's why we're just so picky about like the fragrance oils that we use, the wax that we use. We use a clean burning wick, so it's not putting up any black smoke or anything like that. No metals, no nothing. So then you get the best bang for your buck out of our products, I feel like.
Yeah. So maybe you could explain a little bit about like with products and packaging. So you had a vision, or has it changed with the packaging, the products, the just and all the different fragrances and all the different all the different things that you offer now? Maybe you could just share with everybody a little bit more about that and all the new things you're doing.
Yes, yeah. So we've definitely grown into more products. We use glass for as much of our products as we can. We like the whole reuse, recycle. We have a promo for our local customers. You bring the jar back, we're gonna sanitize and reuse it. You get a percentage off. So we're very much like trying to be very like sustainable with it.
Yes, I love
And
that.
so we use glass as much as possible. We're very mindful about the sort of products that we're using. We use pure soy wax. We don't blend it with anything else to help it burn faster or anything like that. It's a clean, natural wax. Our fragrance oils are all phthalate free. They're all pet safe. Most of them, I would say probably like 98% are cruelty free. They're vegan. Like we definitely try to go the extra mile. Um, we launched with candles and melts. Since then, we've been able to add like reed diffusers now. We have human linen sprays. We have a natural carpet deodorizer, so you don't have to worry about animals or kids. Like it's all just, it's a soap-based fragrance oil. So if they run through it, not a problem. You just vacuum it up. Don't even got to think about it. We do have like natural and organic body scrubs and lip balms and lip scrubs. So we do have a little bit in that area as well, but I would say majority is just like the home fragrance company.
Yeah. So, with some of the fragrances, or with the lip balm and everything,
Mm-hmm.
do you see an interesting trend as to, do you see more customers on the East Coast buying certain things versus the West Coast as you're growing and evolving?
Um, well, aside from the melts and nobody on the East
Yeah.
Coast sort of like
Now
engage.
I know.
Yes. I would say that we see a fairly consistent between the East and the West Coast and what people are ordering and what they're purchasing. I would say that maybe like the difference would be like we probably sell candles better over here or like the upper east. Like
Mm,
down in Texas and those sort of areas, we do better with our other products. But I feel like I don't know, even during the summer selling here in Washington, it's like people are like, oh no, candle. Like they see like a flame, even though it's just a little flame, and they're like, it's too hot for that. And so I feel like, maybe that has something to do with it, but we do see like the difference in that. But yeah.
wow. So what do you? All right. Let me ask you another question. Where? can people buy products? Like, do you have most of your friends? Well, yes, on the web, you could get whatever you want on your
Mhm.
site, but what about locally? Like, are you starting to trickle into more and more places as people find out about you, or how is
Yeah.
that working? And inventory, and where do you store it? My business head is like, whoa, or is it just a slow progression and you're trying to keep up with everything?
Yes, yeah. Well, I definitely wanted the business to be successful, and so I feel like the way that we grew the business was very smart. Not to like, pat my own back, but I didn't want to get
Good
in
for
over
you.
my head and not be successful. So we grew the business as the business was able to take care of that growth, if I'm explaining that well enough. So we
Yeah.
are in 6 stores locally. We have wholesale businesses or deals with a couple of places on the East Coast where we have a wholesale out of New Jersey and Florida and a couple of other states. And we do most of our shipping and everything through the website. So definitely looking into like progressing more into the wholesale. Right now, it's very like just through the website and then through our pop up markets. We do a lot of pop-up markets just here
Yeah.
locally. We are expanding through the state of Washington on those. Like this Saturday, we have 3 pop-up markets.
And
That
do you hold like classes somewhere where you people
we
can make their own candles? And because they
yes.
do that here in New Jersey,
Mhm.
they have, it's called POUR. And it's such a genius thing where you can make your own candles and it's so much fun.
Yes, yeah. So we actually just had a candle making class for fall this last weekend. And so it's always very fun to like go and teach and get hands on with like the customers, to be able to ask their questions and everything and have them kind of get through the process and everything. And then of course we have like snackies and all of the things. And so it's a lot of fun. So definitely something that I would like to branch more into in the future is sort of the idea of maybe like having that storefront and being able to offer the classes. But I would love to be able to have a place where other like artisans that are just starting out that maybe aren't at the level that other businesses are, be able to come in and utilize my space and, hey, look at this cool thing that I know how to do, and show other people and sort of raise the passion for that
Mm.
sort of thing, because I think that the hands-on experience is a lot of fun, and being able to teach somebody something that and you're passionate about and you've educated yourself about can be super beneficial for any business.
So I have two questions. As you're speaking, I'm thinking about how did you come up with Fancy Fiddles, and what this journey of 4 years of really doing research, what were some of the aha moments of I didn't realize that you could share with everybody just to educate people, since you like a crash course. How's that?
I think that how I got my name is probably one of like my customers' most like asked questions.
Yeah.
Um, so growing up, I was raised on musicals, like old
Mm.
school musicals, and so it's actually just like a very vague line from my favorite movie, which is Seven Brides for Seven Brothers,
Wow.
and they're doing the barn raising. Nobody ever remembers the scene, and the
Yes,
guy
I
like
do.
they're getting off the wagons with their things, and the guy's like, "Oh, look at the ladies and all the fancy fiddles that they brought because they made them." And
Wow.
and so I was like, I had the name before I had the business. And I
Mm.
was like, "Oh my gosh, because I make them and they're my fancy fiddles." Which
That's
is
love it.
very, so that's how I got the name. And then the idea for the business, it was just a lot of doing research into like all the different sort of waxes. I had no idea that there were so many different waxes
Mm.
before I started researching to open up my company. I decided to go with soy just because I didn't realize like people with like allergies, you have to be careful about like coconut wax, and then there's like paraffin wax, which is very like chemically based, but it like burns faster, and so people like blend with it and stuff. I had no idea that it was just so like intensive with like the different sort of waxes and then like how they were even produced. Like so researching what sort of wax I wanted to use and then doing the research on like how that was produced and all of those things. And then the fragrance oils, it just came down to, sort of Googling late at night when my kids are in bed, like clean fragrance oils. Like what makes a fragrance oil like okay? Like why are some okay and some not okay? Like very like just basic questions of like what I knew I wanted out of the products and just sort of working from the ground up. Like I had no idea that majority of like store-bought candles have metal in their wicks. Like I had, and so just making like sort of dumbing it down for myself on the internet late at night just sort of got
So
me to
metal in the wicks. Let's go back to that. So
yeah.
when you're burning it, there's just the vapors that we're inhaling, and it's like vaping, where it's probably like just like packed in our lungs, right? Eventually,
Yeah,
I mean, if you have 20 million candles, always, I guess, but that over time, I didn't know that. With everything I know about clean eating and everything, I never knew that. So can you explain that a little to everybody?
Well, I didn't even realize until like we had a candle burning in the bathroom and I went to move it and it had like black up the wall. And I was like, what in the world? Like it wasn't that close. Like what is happening? There's no way it got that hot. And then doing the research into that of like, why would my wall turn black? How do I clean this? What is this? And then it was like a little eye opening of like, oh, that's because of what's in the candle, not the heat from the candle. Yeah, so we use a soy cotton blend wick. So it's just soy, which is the same sort of wax that you're already using. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I have a friend who had a clean fragrance kind of lotions, no candles, but she said the most difficult thing is to try to source this out because you have to be so careful. Just like eating, you see a pretty package of healthy somebody running in the fields, and you just assume, okay, that's good for me. And then so people, how do people navigate like with food? Because that's what I'm passionate about, educating people with candles. What should you look for and what should you stay away from? Because I think, oh, it's soy based. Okay, great. But you don't know the wick or what, like, so can you, it's a little confusing because I'm like, oh my gosh, now I want to find out more about this. So maybe you can share with everybody, like,
yeah,
what's the red flags?
I feel like some of the red flags that I would be looking for as a consumer is not having the transparency of where those fragrance oils are coming from. Looking for any that are like, oh, pure soy blend, but then it's like, well, what is that blended with? Anything that like the label is very non-descriptive. I know that like big box stores and stuff, like we went looking at different labels and different things like that of like, okay, like what do they have on their label versus like what we were seeing at the farmers markets and things. And some of them don't even have the wax listed. You have no idea what wax you're burning and putting into your home. So any that are like, oh, soy wax, but then on the label, if it's saying like an ingredient of paraffin wax, that is just chemical. It helps the candle burn faster. So you're burning faster by, which is one thing that I'm passionate about because we use this pure soy. And so our candles were burned for over 45 hours. We're not trying to mix it with anything else to have it last longer. If you see us next time and you're like, still burning the first one, super. That is exactly where we want you to be. So I think just any descriptive labels that aren't giving you any information. Like we see a lot of that with like candles and they're just like, oh, it's like a pure candle. Well, pure what candle? Where are your fragrance oils from? How are they pet safe? How are they natural and different things like that? And so, yeah.
So when you say pet safe, What exactly does that mean? I know I'm grilling you because everybody wants to, our viewers and listeners, this is so interesting. So can you just give us a little more about what does pet safe mean?
Um, so I think that just trying to go as natural as possible in the fragrance oil, there are a lot of companies, not to name drop, but some
Yes.
very well-known companies that dogs especially are very reactive to, because
Wow.
their fragrance oils are not natural and they're not phthalate free and they're not safe. So when you're looking for a product that is a pet safe product, you're looking for phthalate free, you're looking for paraben free, you're looking for no artificial additives. Because dogs and cats, they can have really reactive skin to some of the
Yeah.
fragrance oils that you're putting into the air. And birds, I guess I didn't know until I started the
Yeah.
business, but birds are like hypersensitive, like they're respiratory, like they can be hypersensitive to candles. And so yeah, it's something that people with birds just have to be really mindful of and not put anything in their house, or just be really selective about what they're putting into their house. So with
Wow.
our company, we'll have customers and I'm like, oh, do you have this scent or do you have this? And I said, I can try, but if I can't find it safe, if I can't find it phthalate free, if I can't find it with the characteristics that we want out of our fragrance oils,
Hmm.
then, and there's been a couple times that I can't do that special order because the fragrance oil isn't, I don't want to say like good enough, but it's not safe enough and I'm not putting my
Right.
name.
Um,
Um,
Other quick question. I know with supplements, I'm very well versed with, so many companies have bought out mom and pop smaller establishments that people would, their head would be spinning if I told them all of these great, supplements, whatever. And the
mhm.
reason why I'm connecting it is because, have you found from when you first started finding where you're sourcing the fragrances and using this in your products, has it changed with the fragrances, or you're still sticking to certain places that have essential oils or whatnot?
Um, so when we first opened, we worked with a variety of fragrance oil companies. And definitely through like the transition in the years of adding products and sort of going down the trail of, like the quality of the oils and stuff, we primarily work with two.
Mhm.
Um, they're all smaller businesses and they're all within the United States. Yes. And so doing that is important. We want, like, one of the companies that we work with is a smaller company. It's a married couple. They started the company. They wanted to do it, in a safe way, a way that people, like your kind of hobby candeliers can get quality products. And so their philosophy really, I feel like, aligned with ours. And so we use them for majority of our fragrances just because they're a small company and they still
Yeah,
have those ideals. And that's important to us to support. I mean, they may not be locally, but to support
right.
that.
Yeah, and it's great because you could really be on top of quality control when you have a rapport and it's not coming from, you know,
Mhm.
Gras, France, which is a wonderful place. It's all natural, but I guess it would be fun to go visit and,
Yes, I'll put it on my list. I'll be like,
yeah.
yeah, for work, it's fine.
Well, I'll just have to tag along because I would
Yeah,
love to do that. That's like in
right.
my next bucket list. No, but so we would love to know, our viewers and listeners, what are some of the new products you're rolling out, say for the holidays?
Um,
Anything, or just different
so um
scents?
the sense that we have, oh gosh, okay, so in all honesty and transparency, this is my favorite time of year to be in the business that I am in, because fall has my heart and these are my scents. And so my husband always
Oh,
is like trying to reel me in because I'm like, can we add 15 new scents? And he's like, or no. So we do have some of our tried and trues that have been tried and true for 3 years. We have a honey spice pear and it's just chef's kiss. And we have the hot cranberry tea and the warm apple pie, and we have, the pumpkin crunch, and we have this one, and it's called October Skies. And let me tell you, it's like a turmeric tea sort of smelling, like it's warm and it's hearty, and it just, yeah, I love it. But
It's called October. I'm writing this down because I'm going to order this. After this, I'm going on your website. And for all our viewers and listeners, if you want to make sure that you're getting products that are clean, that are healthy for your children. Some children are on the spectrum and they're very, very, very sensitive to these things. Like Fancy Fiddles is the way to go, because now I'm like, sold. Okay. I don't even want to play around with going to some organic or clean store, and you have to be so careful. So how can people find you? So can you give us your website?
Yes, yeah. So we're just fancyfiddles.com for the website. We do ship everywhere. Um, and then we have Instagram and we have Facebook, of course, and it's just Fancy Fiddles. Nothing, nothing too fancy.
Love it.
Yes, yeah.
So before we're done here with this wonderful conversation, I just enjoyed every minute grilling you because because I'm so fascinated with this now. Now I want to do research. I always ask my guests, do you have a superhero or role model? That's the first question.
Oh goodness. That's a hard one. A superhero or role model? Oh gosh. I don't know. I don't know about a superhero or role model, but I would just say that the inspiration for my life and where I get sort of the drive from would just be my family. I have 4 kids, so there's a lot of them, obviously. I like children. And I would say that they're probably just like the superheroes behind my life and what I do. It is definitely a family operation. They are right there with me. They are coming to markets. My 13-year-old helps make the carpet deodorizers. We are full hands-on, and they are my little superheroes because they let mom have her dream. And I couldn't do it without the support of them and my husband, just in the sense of, I'm a small business. I am all the things. And so, so I would say definitely just the support from them and everything that they do, and the inspiration behind the business, I would say, is probably,
That's wonderful. Yeah, and it's great. It empowers them, and they see mom doing something and following her dreams and passions. And
it makes my heart happy.
I
My
love that.
13-year-old wants to be an entrepreneur. She says, "Mom, I'm going to be a CEO." And I said, "Oh, what?" And she says, "I don't know yet." She's like, "But I can do it." And I was like, "Heck yes."
I love that. I love that. And the other question is, do you have any hobbies that you'd like to share that nobody knows that you do? Or maybe you don't want to. Any hidden talents or hobbies?
Okay.
Other than candles.
I know. I was like, I probably know other than we camp a lot and we're hiking a lot and we're always just trying to explore. We live, in the Pacific Northwest, so there's always something to be doing outside. And I would say as a family, that's probably what we're doing. I'm dragging them on hikes.
Wow.
And
I love that.
Yes.
What a healthy, clean, because I was just going to ask you, for the people that are in the Pacific Northwest, where can they find say, if somebody's listening that's locally, what store can they go in other than just going on the website?
So we are in some of our local small businesses. So we're in a store called Farm and Flourish, and she is based out of Centralia, and she is a sort of all the time farmers market. She only sources from like local companies and everything like that for produce and milk and artisans like us. And so we're in there, and we're in like Urban Farm Girl, which is another small town business. So just we're in about 6 stores locally.
Well, good luck with everything. This has been such a pleasure
Yeah,
seeing
thank
you. I know, I combed the market at New York Now. There were a lot of small businesses.
you.
I came upon your stand. We started talking, and, I just gravitate to real people that are passionate, that are
Mhm.
living the dream, doing what they love to do. And
Yeah.
it's great to see you grow and blossom and just keep on going, girlfriend, because I love it. And I can't wait to go on your website because I didn't know about the carpets. I need deodorizer for my three
Oh,
lovely dogs.
yes.
So, yeah. So, is there anything else you want to share before I close and just give a little bit of something about what grounding with Mother Earth does?
Oh, no, no. Just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. It was my first time, and so I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was a lot of fun to be able to just, have the conversation and give out some information. And we really appreciate the support of people like you that are, looking for businesses like me, and it means a lot. So I
Well,
just
thank you.
appreciate it.
You are quite welcome. And with that, I just wanted to say to everybody, try to get out there, ground with Mother Earth, get those shoes off, get your feet grounded in the soil, start connecting with Mother Earth. Also, for all my viewers and listeners and supporters, thank you. I'm in the top 10% globally out of 347 million podcasts in health and fitness, and I couldn't have done it without the support of all of you. So, everybody, have a wonderful day. And remember, ground with Mother Earth and keep it dirty. Bye, everybody.